Hexagram number 11. Peace. Through relating correctly, we have achieved peace. Maintaining peace, however, requires that we remain firm in inner discipline. Compared with other hexagrams, this hexagram is perfectly balanced. The heaven and earth forces are in equilibrium. This symbolizes a person who has correctly balanced the heaven and earth qualities within himself, so that he is in harmony with the universe. The heaven force in the lower trigram symbolizes our having made our inner attitude correct. We are persevering in our principles and are self-contained. Whether events proceed here or there, we do not lose our inner equilibrium. The earth force is in the upper trigram, symbolizes that we have attained an open-minded receptivity towards events in the outer world. We have ceased to erect defensive barriers or to try to manipulate events, either by adopting what we think to be appropriate attitudes or by doing specific things. Such a balanced, neutral attitude reduces tensions and resolves problems in our relationships with others. We need to remain aware, however, that times of peace invite us to forget that good luck arises from having balanced our attitude. Furthermore, it is dependent on our remaining balanced. In relaxing from tensions, we easily lose our inner independence. For example, we lose our independence both when we seek ways to preserve the good times and when through lassitude we forget to uphold our principles. Being more relaxed, we may forget our responsibility to rescue those whom we have inner connections, or we may become self-orientated and overconfident. Therefore, the hexagram reminds us to remain conscientious and persevering. Perhaps the greatest danger posed by having attained peace in the external situation is that we tend to work at our spiritual development only when we are under the pressure of adversity. We presume that since we are in harmony, we presume that since we are in harmony with the cosmos, There is nothing we need to learn. It is important to continue our learning and to remain aware of our dependence on the higher power. As the second hexagram, peace implies that peace will result or has resulted from making the changes called for in the first hexagram's lines. It also cautions us to remember the dangers and to persevere. Changing line number 1. When ribbon grass is pulled up, the sod comes with it. Undertakings bring good fortune. When people open to each other, they are connected by their roots. Hence, good influences are possible. Openness is the prerequisite to having an influence. Similarly, although we are connected by the roots to the sage, this connection becomes obstructed when we doubt we will get the help we need. When we withdraw from a negative assessment of affairs and return to a humble acceptance, the obstruction evaporates. The image of pulling up interconnected roots suggests that by dealing with the root of the problem, our inner attitude, we remove existing obstructions to the peace of progress we seek. Changing line number 2. Bearing with uncultured in gentleness. Fording their river with resolution. Not neglecting what is distant, not regarding one's companions. Thus, one may manage to walk in the middle. During times of peace, we are tempted to be hard on those who make mistakes, or to be alienated through having to deal with their troublesome egos. It is in keeping with modesty not to form a mental faction against them, but to bear with them and to bear with the situation. Fording the river with resolution. When we are peaceful mood, when we are in a peaceful mood and situations arise that require withdrawal and going on alone, we should not neglect to do so. This is to follow our path and not neglect what is distant. Not regarding one's companions. This means that we do not condition what we do by what others do, but keep to our path. We must not watch with our inner eye what they do. To walk in the middle means that we serve as an intermediary between the sage and others, remaining careful and conscientious, especially during times we must avoid being sidetracked by indolence or weakened indulgence in small vanities and flatteries. Sometimes we indulge in small, seemingly harmless attitudes because we presume that peace, having been attained, will remain itself. We must remember, however, that fate will not be presumed upon. One of the dangers of peaceful times is our tendency to become dependent on the things remaining free of tension. Such a dependency entails a loss of inner independence. In striving to keep the status quo, our responses become conditioned. We are no longer able to respond spontaneously from innocence. Such a dependency invites others to challenge us. A similar danger sometimes occurs when people present themselves as interested, caring, and sensitive. Although manipulative and unworthy, the intention is often to keep things pleasant. At other times, it is manipulative flattery designed to lure us into carelessly exposing ourselves. There is almost always a leader put out with a hook on it that engages our ego. Then, once we expose ourselves, we are greeted with the contrived indifference or an insolent attack. Such tactics, part of the king of the heap game, are meant to unbalance us so that those who initiate the game can gain the upper hand. We should avoid being seduced by flattery so that we become involved in these games. At the same time, we should remain open-minded and patient with those who play them. Changing line number 3. No plane not followed by a slope. He who remains persevering in danger is without blame. During peaceful times, we tend to assume that during peaceful times, we tend to assume that good times will continue indefinitely. By this assumption, we begin an emotional dependence on people, God, fate, and events, that they should all stay the same. We become unwilling to allow the situation to change. Then, when problems recur, we are unprepared. Being unprepared, we waver and fall back into hoping and doubting. This disintegration of personality can be avoided if we do not allow ourselves to be dependent emotionally on people or events. We can better keep our independence if we remember that each event is part of a zigzag path by which the creative resolves problems. By expecting the unexpected and by always being prepared for tensions to resume. We avoid making plans based on things always going well or always going badly. Changing line number 4. He flutters down, not boasting his wealth, together with his neighbor, guileless and sincere. Receiving this line often refers to receiving the help of the sage to acquire insight into the correct way to approach a problem. It may also be a simple confirmation that our guileless, sincere way of relating has had creative results. At other times, this line counsels us to allow our contacts with others to be guileless and sincere. This means we refrain from any temptation to contrive or manipulate what we want to happen. The line also counsels us against boasting of wealth. We boast of wealth if we try to impress people with our wisdom, wit, or charm, or if we in any way we try to impose our point of view. We should make every effort to remain sincere, simple, and serene. Changing line number 5. The sovereign I gives his daughter in marriage. This brings blessing and supreme good fortune. A truly modest union. This line means that it is the sage who decides when the time is right for things to work out and when conditions for unity will become possible. Until then, we must wait. This line also prevents, this line also presents us with the analogy of a marriage between two people of unequal status. A princess must adapt to being married to someone beneath her rank. This means that we must deal with someone who, for lack of self-development or for other reasons, is not on our level of understanding. We should not unthinkingly add to his natural feelings of inferiority. The princess is pictured as placing herself beneath her husband. This does not mean that she is lesser, but that she avoids a competing or dominating attitude. Thus, she prevents envy from spoiling their relationship. In situations of close personal contact, the person with the stronger character must become more modest, sacrificing his sense of self, power, and authority. In this way, he dissolves tension and striving. This creates a truly modest union that brings happiness and blessings. Changing line number 6. The wall falls back into the moat. Use no army now. It is time to dismantle the defenses and strategies which comprise our resistance to fate. We must disperse all effort and striving in humbly submitting to and accepting the situation as it is, without resentment or resistance. We will gain the help of the higher power to correct the situation. This ends Hexagram 11.